Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another session for this week. We are here again with Tim. Nice to have you, Tim. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Fabio.
And so this week is focused on crypto. We recently launched our crypto intelligence product yesterday. We're going to go over maybe a short demo as well during the session. But basically, the goal of the session is to go over how we look at crypto from a macro standpoint. And Tim has prepared a few slides for us. And so we're excited to look at the asset class from a macro perspective. I'll leave it on to you, Tim.
Yes, thank you very much, Fabio. Yeah, guys, usually we met on Monday and talk a little about markets and all the other stuff that's in my mind and has to do with macro a little bit. Yeah, but today we are going over some crypto stuff I worked out for you. We will have a look at some different asset classes you may can trade. Also a little bit how to implement the new models that MenthorQ is providing into your daily work schedule. But first I have one or two slides general in markets, what's going on, so that you are not missing out any stuff over there. And yeah, let's start with a brief overview from the short last week. Remember last Monday we pitched the IWM long trade on the macro Monday in the morning. If you had held this trade for the week, which ended on Thursday, long weekend over there, so it's just a very small trade with a time frame of 3 days. IWM 3.5% nearly in this short week. Clearly benefits from the Thursday, which saw higher NFP numbers, and the market was considering this stuff as pretty good. Just a small reminder that sometimes the stuff we are pitching, it's actually accessible for you guys too. The bigger chart here is the SPX. As you can see, there's not much going on right there. Pretty range-bounding mean reversion market right now with the Thursday big gap up. I mentioned the NFP numbers, which the market has seen as pretty decent. They were actually higher as the consensus. So recession fears cancelled once again. Hedges are getting priced out. And yeah, this is the action you have seen on Thursday. Friday market was closed, then the weekend, and yeah, we are already in the next week. What's going on in general? First of all, there's already, or let's say again, the fight between Trump and Powell. I think yesterday he called him a little baby that should resign. It's pretty obvious that those two persons have some deep going problems. Funny to watch sometimes, but yeah, overall it's a little bit chaotic out there, but nevertheless, stocks floating higher, despite a very weak market breadth and dampened volatility already. It's a little bit of summer trading already, right? Where people are just watching how the tariff tantrum stuff will play out, what will happen over the next deadlines that we have in tariffs. Also, the impact on inflation from the tariffs is now seen a little bit weaker. It's a sentence I marked in yellow on the right-hand side from Goldman Sachs this morning. They are running different models, and for me, it looks kind of chaotic. No one really knows how this stuff will play out in the end. But the reading as of now is that this stuff is maybe not that inflationary as people have expected like 1 or 2 months ago. Right, the chart on the left-hand side are some US sectors. You can clearly see the lilac and the magenta one. SPXQs are new all-time highs, as you have all seen last week, with the RSP equal weighted SPX lagging a little bit behind, alongside with small caps. That's a scenario where the quality tech stocks are outperforming. So speaking of QQQ, right? Because they are labeled as kind of safe, kind of the bet you can still ride in this market. relatively unaffected from all the tariff stuff. Other sectors are doing not that great, but overall, as you can maybe imagine, some people are just waiting how this stuff will play out. Yesterday, biggest spike in copper futures, nearly 7% in a few minutes because of the new revealed 50% tariffs on copper from Donald Trump. The chart on the right hand side shows you the price gap between London traded copper from the London Mercantile Exchange, the LME, and the CME in Chicago. Big spreads over there. That's not that really healthy when a big market like copper, because copper is used in the entire world, right? It's not an unimportant commodity, and it's not really healthy for a market like this if shocks like this are coming in. And I looked into it yesterday for fading the trade in HG futures, but in the end, turns out, I was a little bit chicken over there. I mean, you don't know what happens next over there, but I'm still in the camp of fading this stuff, and I think that's my task for today. Looking a little bit into positioning in copper futures and maybe set up a trade outright short, not that small sized, because of the news and headline risks that you always have. But I think it's a negotiation tactic from Donald Trump, 50%, and this will maybe fade. All right, let's jump into the main topic for the day, crypto. We could maybe talk about the whole day, macro impacts, and how is this related to crypto stuff. But I choose to give you a little bit more of a basic overview right now, because we usually try to keep this around 45 minutes, 1 hour, these small updates here. And the main focus today is a little bit on the levels that Fabio and the team from MenthorQ has cooked up in the last months. What you're seeing here is the dashboard in general that is basically new since yesterday. And today, as mentioned, we will go over a few assets you maybe can trade, or that are maybe not worth to trade. First of all, a little bit more of a basic information. This stuff here is maybe new to you. It depends how long you are at the market. If you are a little bit longer in the market, like 6-7 years, you maybe remember the whole crypto stuff was quote unquote new to the market, right? It was a market not dominated by institutional flows. So for institutional participation was kind of low, and this market was way more volatile, right? If you had some trouble in the market and risk assets in the ES or NQ futures have sold off 3 or 4% in one session, the crypto boys usually chuckled about it and said, wow, but that's basically a normal Monday in our world. But this has changed, right? Why is it like that? The right chart with the Ethereum ETF inflows shows big numbers, right? So crypto has already found its space after the years for the individual investor, and it's not a niche product anymore, right? Several ETFs are running in this space, not just about crypto as quote unquote the spot product that is monitoring Bitcoin or Ethereum prices. No, later we will also have pitched some ETFs tracking several crypto companies. And with the inflow chart below, 64 billion. This is the weekly chart. This is the weekly chart. That's big money, right? And all this stuff leads to more appreciation, not just from the individual investor, but also from the institutional investor. And this market is getting more efficient a little bit. So very unlikely you have days like 5 years ago, where Bitcoin future, well, we didn't have Bitcoin futures back then, but Bitcoin spot in the exchanges were down like 12 or 15%. It's pretty unlikely. Nevertheless, it's still a risk asset, right? The chart on the left side shows the QQQ below and the Bitcoin CME future, BTC. And you can spot roughly a little bit of this correlation, right? The low over there that I marked with the white line was after the tariff announcements from Donald Trump. And as you can see, Bitcoin is tracking this stuff here roughly in the same way, right? It's just a broader overview. But yeah, it's still a very high beta asset. But as mentioned, big money, more liquidity is damping volatility a little bit. Also over there. Well, what's also pretty interesting, central banks are talking about coins as well in the crypto space. Even the US Bitcoin Reserve was mentioned, I think, in March this year already. And this shows you a little bit that not just only Wall Street is looking into stuff, also administrations from other countries are looking into this market. This is kind of important because the more and more money flows into this market and circulates, it can shape trends, but it can also shape the idea behind all this stuff. If you guys remember all the memes that social media have created about Coinbase and the US Army, I mean, Coinbase is a sponsor of the US Army, right? So this stuff is already baked in, big money and politics stuff. Nevertheless, tracking risky stocks with several crypto products can help you define a little bit the broader trend and what's going on big time frames. And because this market is so huge, it kind of creates also the own ecosystem, right? You cannot just only trade the derivatives, like futures, options. You can also trade the physical stocks and, of course, also the options on the stocks. Over here, we have some bigger companies that have to do with crypto stuff. And what's pretty interesting, also the brokerage accounts that are running on, let's say Robinhood. I think that's a pretty popular brokerage firm into the US. In the EU, it's a little bit different. It's mostly Binance, Coinbase, stuff like that. But Robinhood, also favors from retail money that is flowing into these products because you have to pay commissions and all this stuff, right? The same goes for Coinbase, also a brokerage platform, gives you access to several crypto products over there. And again, I mentioned here, sponsor of the US Army, and this is not a joke, right? These firms, they are pretty powerful. They are amongst the most important people in the US administration. If you have watched videos from dinners with Donald Trump or the inauguration process this year, the CEO of Coinbase has kind of the same status like a Mark Zuckerberg or a Jeff Bezos, right? That's pretty interesting. Then there are the so-called miners and also Bitcoin holders with Riot platforms, Mariner Holdings, tickers Mara and Riot. Those firms have really decent amounts of Bitcoins in their balance sheet. And of course, if the price fluctuates from Bitcoins, also their balance sheet will inflate or deflate, right? And then there are some niche firms like CleanSpark. They actually have a business model of sustainable energy for Bitcoin mining, right? Because you all know mining Bitcoins has a huge energy consumption, a lot of electricity. goes through the cables if you are running a mining firm. And yeah, those firms are specialized in delivering better solutions to deal with these energy products. And the cool thing is, let's imagine Bitcoin is big down over a week, and there's a broader downtrend. And what you always should do, maybe build a watch list with these tickers over here. I mean, there are many more out there, but you have also keep in consideration there are also a lot of shit companies over there, so-called shitcos. And if you stick to the big ones, maybe for options play, if the Bitcoin price drags them down along, there's usually, sometimes a pretty good play where you can trade these stocks instead of crypto directly, right? I mean, it always depends on you. On the other side, we have, of course, the ETFs, also pretty interesting because they are spreading out their business models as well. Usually, they are more cheaper in terms of investing and in terms of trading. I'm not that sure if we have US listeners today, how accessible all of them are. Yesterday, I looked in my brokerage account, but I'm EU based, right? And I didn't can access all of them. So I just came up with these 4 numbers here. IBIT is pretty basically well known into the space, largest holder, just Bitcoin's holding. So there's always the correlation Bitcoin price, IBIT price, right? But other stuff as Block and STCE, they are investing in blockchain companies. For Block, it's over 50, and for STCE, it's over 40 crypto-related companies. And of course, this is always tied to the Bitcoin price itself, but you have always outliers if a company or 2 companies into the stock basket from the Block ETF maybe have a new invention or dropping a new business model or something like that. There could be outperformance over there, right? So here you have the advantage not monitoring all the firms that are in this crypto space involved. The ETF does it for you, like every ETF does it, like QQQ, right? Don't have to mention. It's way more easy than stock picking, because for stock picking, you always have to do a little bit extra work and extra research. And the second order crypto coins like Ethereum, labeled here with the ETHA, a little bit worse performance this year. I don't know why, but basically there is a ETF out there for not just Bitcoin, also Solana, Ethereum, and all this stuff. They basically hold these coins directly, and this is much more tied to the price of the underlying. If you want to trade this stuff, also the stocks from before, we usually have all the data from this ETFs or stocks. And when it comes to options trading, don't forget to always do your process over there. Implied volatilities, positionings. Is my trade expensive or is my trade cheap? Right? This stuff also applies even if we are moving into crypto space over here. That's basically part of the new dashboard that MenthorQ has dropped yesterday. There's a video out there where Fabio tells you everything in detail about this stuff here. That's the way I just decided to keep it kind of briefly with this. That's basically my approach, right? Just telling you how I view this stuff. Usually big picture, then drill down daily timeframes, and then the time frame you want to trade. Well, this is pretty technical from the first view, but if you have an overview over the big picture, you always know what is kind of going on into the crypto space. We had several times in the last months and I already mentioned the so-called crypto reserve from the US administration, where those news were floating around a little bit, right? Then they got announced, but Bitcoin and other crypto assets have been sold, right, with the announcement from this news. And then people are always surprised, wow, why can this happen? What's the story behind? I mean, the news itself is bullish, but the asset gets sold. What I mean with that, if you monitoring the big picture, what is the market already awaiting? What has the market maybe already priced in, right? You always have a little bit of a broad overview why this asset is currently trending down or up, or why this asset is currently doing a mean reversion market. Into daily timeframes, well, again, that's pretty technical. I just watch stuff over there, how big the ranges are, right? Later we will look at the MBT future for the CME, and it's pretty straightforward with the MQ model because it shows you 1 day max, 1 day min range. And from my side, I just look how those ranges are expanding or contracting. And for the trading timeframes, this is then based on the MenthorQ levels that we have out of the options chains. And if this is kind of done, the so-called market summary, what's trending, what's not trending, you can go a little bit more into the weeds and look for the specific asset. I have choose Bitcoin over here because I think it's the mostly used underlying, also for the sophisticated day trader. And risk on, risk off sentiment indicators. There is a crypto direction indicator. And I don't know, Fabio, if you have like 2 or 3 minutes for those 2 slides to explain them a little bit, because obviously it's prosperity data, right? And I don't know all the aspects like you may know.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I can share my screen. 1 second.
Yes.
So basically, yesterday we released our crypto intelligence, and the crypto intelligence is based on mostly 2 factors. We built our option models, which are very similar to the ones that you see for stocks, ETFs, and indices. So we have our net gamma exposure chart, we have a swing model, we have our Q score, skew. All of these are available on major cryptos. We cover also multiple exchange, so we cover Deribit, Binance, OKX. When we look at derivatives, Deribit is still probably the most important exchange for spot crypto derivatives, but also Binance is becoming also relevant. So you guys can access the different coins looking at the different exchanges. On top of that, we built our quant models, because of course crypto is also very highly correlated with the rest of the market. Just looking at option is important, but we also went a step further. We wanted to also look at other data sets and other ways of looking at the market. So we have here our 3 models. And the first model is kind of like a regime model. So we are looking at traditional market data that can be correlated with the crypto market to understand if we are in a risk on or risk off scenario. So in this case, what we see is that 0 is the threshold. If we go below 0, we are in a risk off scenario. So yesterday we were kind of like in a risk off, and now we are back kind of like in a risk on scenario. So that can help you understand at the macro level, how are we in terms of regime on the crypto side, and is the market bullish or bearish on crypto? So this can give you an idea. So if you are thinking about entering the crypto market, it's a good way to understand if the market can be in a positive or negative regime. The second one is our directional indicator. So this is a directional bias indicator that we are building on different crypto assets with the goal of understanding if we are in an uptrend or a downtrend. So as you can see here, and the indicator goes from -1, which is very bearish, 0, which is neutral, which is what we see now, and then we have 1 and 2, which is bullish, right? And the third one is we call it QRSI because is like we take a similar approach to the traditional RSI, but we modify that and we create a similar indicator where you have an overbought and oversold condition, and then here you get the data. And then once you get that, you can also go into our market summary dashboard where you can see everything in one place. So for example, if we go back to yesterday, we were in a risk-off scenario. So the sentiment was kind of bearish around the crypto space. We had some neutral directional, and then we have the RSI here. And then we can go to today, and now we can see that, for example, we are in a risk-on scenario. And here, we're still quite neutral in terms of direction, but we do have a bullish direction, for example, for TRX, and then you can click on it, and then you can kind of go and over the different indicators right here.
I was playing around today a little bit with it. I basically used the risk-on, risk-off sheet and the market summary. And the cool thing is, in the market summary, I mean, it shows you 1 day, 5 day, 30, and 90, right? If I remember correct. 1 day, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year.
Yep. Yep.
And what you guys can do then over there with the risk-on, risk-off chart and the market summary, you can tweak the data at the date, right, on top of it. And then you can always compare, like, what has performed when the Q crypto risk-on, risk-off chart was on the lows, right, in April. What has performed over there and what is performing right now. It's kind of like in currency trading, where you are mapping out strong versus weak currencies. You can basically do the same over here.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't pull out a trade on the first glance, right? But it's maybe a little bit of a help where you can start looking in this data, because it can be really, really confusing just looking at a chart where you just have, price action and do your technical analysis, because those screeners are mapping those strange trends against weak trends, and that's a little bit more granular from my side.
Yeah, and also, Tim, we can share, let me put this up here. This is part of our documentation. We have, if you go under our guides, which are available for everyone, just go under quant strategies, crypto strategies, and then here you have the backtest that we showed yesterday. So, for example, if we look at just the risk-on, risk-off indicator, we did an interesting backtesting results on Ethereum. So a buy and hold strategy on Ethereum would have lost about 50% in the last 6-7 months using a risk-on, risk-off scenario. So the assumption is that you go long when the risk-on is greater than 0, and you go short when the risk-off is lower than 0. And then simply you're always in a trade, so you just basically switching when the indicator crosses, and basically that's kind of like the return of the strategy in green versus the return of simply buy and hold the coin, in this case Ethereum.
Yeah, that's straightforward. The prompts are not too complicated. That's good.
Yeah, very, I mean, obviously this is very, very easy, but like the indicator can be very good to understand if we are, even like a position sizing. So if you are thinking on getting into the crypto space, like, is it a good time or not, and how can I manage my risk?
Yeah. So I just have one last slide, right? What you're presenting right now. All right. So, and for the day trader that maybe tries to find his luck in trading Bitcoin futures, with all the stuff here, you can basically build your daily trend idea, what will happen. And the next one from my side would be always looking into positioning. That's the reason why the right lower chart shows the net gains or expirations for NBT futures, so the options for the micro MBT. And never, what's not have to miss in the charts are the level from MenthorQ. And as you can see, we are not that really trending. I mentioned it before, 2 time frame market, means highs are getting sold, lows are getting bought, and you have those ranges that are kind of building up. And as you can see here, the put support HVL 0 DTE and the put support 0 DTE at 107,500 and call resistance and gamma wall at 110 for MBT. The July 2025 contract. This stuff is in place like from the beginning of July already, right? We had a little bit of buying in the beginning of July. Trend got faded. I know it's a 4-hour chart, but as you can see at the candles, those major levels, they are getting respected from the down or from the upside. And basically your job is in this scenario now mapping out what's the daily range of my asset that I want to trade, right? Because if your idea is to buy here below 107,500, you maybe have to wait 3 or 4 days, right? Again, that's a 4-hour chart, and selling off like $2,000 out of the blue in just 4 hours or one session is pretty unlikely. So you have to wait a little bit more. On the other hand, is it possible that we are trading above 110 in the next few hours? So from my side, those levels are always giving you a little bit more patience into the market, right? You don't have to fumble in the middle and buy at some weird areas where you get wigged out. So that would be basically my approach. That's the reason why I marked those 2 areas over here. I don't want to do something in the middle. But to be honest, next level 1, 108.50 also looks appealing to me. But to be honest, the breakout we were above 110, unlikely this week, but let's see. And in the end, that's basically my short-term approach to deal with at least the micro Bitcoin future. If you guys wanna look more into the companies or the ETFs that we mentioned a little bit earlier, of course you can use the data from MenthorQ to just have a data-driven approach. That's also good. But from my experience, it's also a little bit important as well to watch the whole crypto space, what stories is going on over there. And in general, if the stock market appreciates pretty risk on moves, the crypto space will probably do the same. That's kind of safe to say, right? And I think we are done. It's the last slide.
And I think I wanted to share also the schedule for this week, guys, because of the launch, we're going to have a lot of different sessions for you. So we are live another 2 times today. We are going to be live in like an hour with Anne-Marie from Top Step X. We're going to be live with Patrick later to talk about blind spots. And then tomorrow we're going to have a couple of sessions on crypto and forex. So don't miss those because very great speakers. We have Kieran and Jay coming back. And then on Friday, we're going to have some sessions on options and live trading commentary with Patrick again. So very exciting. Also, if you guys are interested, we're running our promotion this week. So if you guys want to look at the crypto stuff and try it out, just check out our website, mentorq.com. And then if you have any questions, please send us an email and we can answer any questions you might have. But thank you so much, Tim, for the time, and this was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and thanks for your time too, Fabio.
Bye-bye.
Bye, have a nice week.